Welcome to all the fans of the greatest show on earth, which is the Vampire Diaries. Today we will be talking about episode 3, Bad Moon Rising, and it is the third episode of season 2. And today's episode, we will be talking about the new supernatural element in town, which is Tyler and Mason Lockwood. And in this episode, there will also be a lot of jumping between different scenes. So let's stay focused because it's gonna be a lot. And let's dive right into it. In the first scene of today's episode, we found ourselves in Damon's and Stefan's house where Alaric walks in as well. Stefan and Elena are sitting on the couch, and Damon is making jokes and he's asking Rick, can I get you something? Coffee, bourbon in your coffee. And Rick tells him, Elena mentioned you need my help. And to which Stefan says, yeah, we were hoping that you could help shed some light on the Lockwood family. In the meantime, we move into a different scene and we are in Tyler's house. We see Mason, who is leaving the house in like sports clothes, so we're assuming he's gonna go for a run or do some workout. And Tyler is watching him, or like more like stalking him. And then when Mason leaves the house, Tyler then follows him. Then we are back in the Salvatore's house, and Rick is asking everybody, and why would I know anything about the Lockwoods? And Damon says, well, you wouldn't, but your dead, not a dead vampire wife might. Elena then says that Isabel was doing research on Duke University, and Stefan adds that she spent years researching this town, meaning Mystic Falls. Rick says to that, Isabel's research here in Mystic Falls was rooted in folklores and legends, but at the time I thought much of which was fiction. Damon smiles and he says, like that amazing vampire story. Then Elena asks, aside from vampires, what else? And Rick dramatically says, the lycanthrope. And Elena's like, wait, like werewolves? And Damon, no way, impossible, way too Lon Chaney. Is it? I've been on this planet 160 some odd years. I never came across one. If werewolves exist, where the hell are they? And that is a great now move from one scene to another, because when Damon says that, we see Mason running in the woods and Tyler following him. So these hints in this episode are strong. Like, oh, if there are werewolves, where are they? And we jump right into Mason. I mean, come on, everybody picks up on that, right? But I guess that was the point. Anyway, so Mason is in the woods, Tyler is watching him, and then Mason goes down into some like brick steps into the ruins, like underneath into like a cellar. Then we are back at Damon's house, and Rick is asking why are they suspecting the Lockwoods. And Damon says because Vervain didn't affect the mayor at the Founders Day, but the Gilbert's device did, and it affected his son Tyler. And then Stefan adds, and at the school carnival, his uncle Mason exhibited inhuman behavior when he fought with one of the carnival's workers, which was that matrix jump that Mason pulled in last episode, and also his eyes glowed, which I don't think that Stefan and Damon saw, but Tyler did. Then again, we find ourselves in the woods where Mason is now coming up from the ruins and Tyler is watching him leave, and then Tyler goes down into the ruins. Then we are back at Stefan's house where Stefan says that Mason's going to be somehow supernatural, some supernatural entity. I don't like to use the word entity because when I hear that word, it immediately, like my mind immediately goes to ghosts and like creepy things. So let's say supernatural creature. Elena then says that they were hoping that Isabel research would help them figure out what they are, what is happening with that. And then Rick tells them that Isabel's things are still at Duke because her office is still there and she's technically still missing. And then Damon asks if they can get access to it. But to me, that's a little bit weird, because I think that Isabel has been, let's say, missing for at least 3 years, I think. But I'm thinking 3 to 5 years. I just don't think that they would keep someone's office for that long. I mean, it's amazing that they did, but I don't think in the real world they would. I think they would like pack up her stuff and be like, hey, listen, we gotta, use this space, come pick it up, don't, we'll throw it out, whatever. So in the next scene, then we see Tyler, who is down in the ruins now in the cellar, and he's taking pictures. But he's taking pictures with this like ancient cell phone that I probably had something like that when I was like 15. It's one of those like, I don't know, early 2000s phones, or like 2005 to 2010 that like did have a camera, but you could barely see anything in the photos. So considering it was a cellar, I just think it would be like a black hole kind of picture. I don't know. I don't think you could see much. But anyways, Tyler takes pictures of the place. Then we are back at Damon's house, and Damon tells to Rick, we need to know what we are dealing with. If this Wolfman thing is true, I've seen enough movies to know it's not good. Then again, we're with Tyler, and he's downstairs, still down there, and he backs into some like metal restraining device, and it scares him. And he also notices scratch marks on the wall. Damon then continues, because we're back with Damon. These scenes with Tyler and Damon, they kind of like overlap. So like Damon might be talking, but you might be seeing Tyler, and vice versa. And then Damon says, it means Mason Lockwood is the real life Lon Chaney, and that little Tyler punk may just very well be Lon Chaney Jr., which means Bela Lugosi, meaning me, is totally screwed. And I had no idea what this hint or what this reference is that Damon is saying, so I googled it, and it is a reference to a movie from 1941 which was called The Wolfman, where Lon Chaney and Lon Chaney Jr. are werewolves, and Bela Lugosi, who is an actor, plays in this movie, but plays some kind of a fortune teller. But the same actor, Bela Lugosi, plays Dracula, a vampire, in a movie from 1931. So somehow Damon connected here these two movies, where in one Bela Lugosi is a vampire, and then the Lon Chaneys are werewolves. And Damon also adds here that according to a legend, when a werewolf bite basically can kill a vampire. And Bela Lugosi, believe it or not, is a guy, which I thought it was a lady, but anyway, I think it's a great name for an actor. And I kind of love how Damon's references are so outdated and old, because you can really see the depth and the age of Damon, because out of the blue he references movies from 1931 and 1941. Anyways, after this we see the writing The Vampire Diaries on the screen, and this episode is officially starting. In the next scene, we are in Caroline's house, and Matt is knocking on the door. Caroline wants to open the door, but she can't because there is sunlight in the hallway. And so she sits down like in the hallway, and Matt is calling her, and she looks super sad. And Matt is telling her that Tyler is doing like a party at the swimming hole, and he wanted to spend the day with her and where she is and to call him. And Caroline in the scene, if you notice, has a very strong makeup, like very dark eyeliner and like eye makeup. And even in the book that was called I Was Feeling Epic, that came out I think last year, Candace, which is the actress that played Caroline, she mentioned that she was talking to the creators of the show, and that she understands that they want to make Caroline maybe like more dramatic, or they wanted to like show that her transition into a vampire was very dramatic, but she told them that she just doesn't think that that's like the way for Caroline to like do such a heavy makeup. So then they did it for a little bit, I think for like 2 episodes, and then they kind of dropped it. But they dropped it in the middle of this episode, which I will talk about later, which is hilarious, and it's totally a mistake. In the next scene, we are in Elena's house. She is getting ready to go on the trip to Duke with Rick and Damon. Stefan is asking her if she's like feeling up for it, and she's like, which part? Digging through my birth mother's life work or going to Duke with Damon? Either, both. Well, I'm not sure about the first part, but then again, Rick is a good buffer, so we can bond in our anti-Damon solidarity. I wish you were coming though. Then Elena tells him that. Oh wait, okay, sorry, I skipped the line. And then Stefan tells her, "You know what? Maybe we should wait a couple of days until Caroline is less of a danger, and then maybe I could go with you." And then Elena's like, "Oh, it's okay that I'm going, right? Because like I could just stay here and we could take care of Caroline." And then Stefan's like, "No, I want you to go. Okay, you have a question about your mom, whatever. You gotta go." And to me, that was like a little bit of a weird conversation because he's like, "Well, I could go." And then she's like, "Well, I don't have to go." And then he's like, "No, you should go." Like, what are you even talking about? Like, this conversation is like super weird to me because it to me makes like zero sense because it's like, I don't know, just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Um, then downstairs in Elena's house, Jenna is talking to Rick, and Jenna is telling him that it means a lot to her that Elena has a connection to her mother, like through Rick, and that she also appreciates that he's bringing Elena for this trip. And Rick says, "Yeah, I figured it was time to take care of my wife's things." And then he kind of goes into like, "Look, Jenna, I know that things between us has been like stored and stop, and I'm sorry." And Jenna kind of jumps in and she's like, "Please don't do that. Not the half maybe apology hope for the future thing." And Rick is like, "All right," and he leaves. And then Elena comes down the stairs and she can see that Jenna is like a little shaken up. So she's asking her if she's okay. And Jenna says, "Yeah, just men and their baggage." And I could sign my name under this line, I swear to you guys. But anyways, outside Damon is waiting at the car and he's like being a Damon. So he tells to Stefan, "Sorry you can't come too, Steph." And Stefan looks at Elena and tells her to call him if she needs anything. And Damon again, "Oh, I'll take really good care of her." Then Elena provocatively grabs Stefan and gives him like a super long kiss while Damon is watching. And then Elena gets into the car and then they leave and Stefan stands on the side of the road. And what is interesting in this scene is that when Stefan is standing there and they are driving away, you can see the Mystic Falls Town Hall in the town hall, like the top of that building. The tower, that's the word. You can see the Mystic Falls Town Hall tower in the distance. And when I was in Georgia, in Covington last year, I went on the Vampire Stalkers tour, which I highly recommend, by the way. The girls were awesome. And they were telling us that they chose Elena's house for this purpose or for this reason, because when you stand in front of Elena's house, they wanted the audience to be able to see the Miss Mystic Falls Town Hall and to kind of connect it to the, Mystic Falls universe, because that town hall is such a centerpiece of the show and everything. So they wanted Elena's house, or when you stand on the street, they wanted you to be able to see the town hall, which I never realized before. I don't think I even noticed it before, but it's such a great detail, and I love that they think about it so thoroughly, about details like this. In the next scene, we are in Tyler's house and he's talking to his mom and he's asking her about the ruins in the woods. And she's like, "The old Lockwood estate? Yeah, what do you know about it?" "It was the original plantation house, beautiful antebellum architecture, and if it hadn't burned to the ground, we'd probably be living in it." "What's the deal with the freaky underground cellar?" "We don't talk about those kinds of rooms." "Why not?" "Well, this is the South, honey, and no one likes to reminisce about the old slave days." Then Mason enters the room and he's asking what are they talking about, and Tyler says that they were talking about the old Lockwood property, and then he's thinking about having some friends over at the swim hole. Carol tells them to be careful because if anything happens on the property, their family is liable. And Taylor says, okay. And to me, that was like really surprising that here in the US, if like you're having a party and then somebody is driving from your party and they have an accident, it's kind of your fault because you were the one, or like they were drinking at your house. Or like I live in New Jersey, and here if you have a pool you have to have a fence around the pool, otherwise if somebody like stumbles and falls in and drowns, it's also your fault. And if something happens on your property, same thing. And to me it was also funny that here in New Jersey, I don't know how it is in other states, you cannot be in a park after sundown. Which is hilarious because I'm from the Czech Republic and we basically spent our youth in parks, like sitting around, talking, having fun, drinking. Like it's so different here, and there is so many rules about everything. In the next scene, we are at the grill where is Bonnie and Stefan, and they're talking, and we jump like right into the middle of their conversation. So Bonnie is telling Stefan that she doesn't know how to make a day walk-in ring, and Stefan's like, Emily made mine, she made Damon's too. Instructions must be in the grimoire. And Bonnie says that that doesn't mean that she can do the spell. And Stefan kind of calls her out, and he's like, Bonnie, you know how to drop vampires with a single look, okay? I think you can figure out the spell. And then Bonnie's like, well, Caroline killed someone. I can't make it easier for her to do it again. No, we're not making it easier for her. We're just giving her the chance to survive. Listen, every day that she's cut off from her old life, from you, from Elena, from Matt, it will make it that much harder for her to hold on to her humanity. And then Bonnie is asking him how does he know that she won't hurt anyone else. Well, I don't know, but if we don't do everything we can to help her, or at least trust the fact that she can keep it together, we might as well stake her right now. I don't know if I can trust her, not with this. And then Stefan tells her, then trust me. But, like, I guess I understand Bonnie's, thoughts. But because Bonnie didn't unspell the Gilbert device, Tyler heard the thing and they had an accident, and then they had to feed Caroline blood, and then she died. Like, and then, no, she didn't die. Catherine killed her. And so it's kind of a little bit Bonnie's fault, I want to say. Like, not directly, but, And, I mean, they're best friends. I think that no matter what, I would like try to give them a chance. And I do get that Caroline killed someone. I don't know. Think about what you would do if your best friend became a vampire and killed someone, and then if you would just like be done, or if you could move past that and try to help them. I want to believe that I could move past that, but I don't know. Then we are in Rick's car. Damon, Elena, and Rick are going on this trip, and Damon is asking Elena, how is it the pretending that she hates him going? And Rick says, I don't think she's pretending. You did kill her brother. And Damon's like, there is a huge asterisk next to that statement. He came back to life. And Elena, yeah, thanks to a ring that you didn't know he was wearing. And Damon says, why are you so sure I didn't know? Did you? Yes. You're lying. Elena, I saw the ring. It's a big tacky thing. It's hard to miss. Then we are in Caroline's house, where is Bonnie, Stefan, and Caroline. Bonnie is holding her grimoire, and Caroline is being in a little bit of like a bitchy, teenagery mood. And she says, so, I don't get to choose the ring that I have to wear for the rest of my life? Bonnie says, hey, if you don't want it. And Stefan's like, no, she wants it. And then Caroline's like, okay, now what? And Bonnie says, now is the part where I explain the rules. The witch who spells the ring has the power to de-spell it, so if you ever do anything to hurt anyone. And Caroline's like, I'm not gonna hurt anyone. You are a vampire. That means that the urge to kill is part of who you are. The minute you let it take over, I will stop you. Bonnie, you're supposed to be my friend. I can't ignore what happened, okay? If you want to be friends, you have to prove that the Caroline I remember isn't gone. Now put the ring on the bed. So Caroline puts the ring on the bed. And then Caroline's like, you really think I went to kill that guy at the carnival? And Bonnie's like, well, he's still dead, isn't he? Now, do you want me to do the spell or no? So Bonnie then opens the curtain a little bit, so like a sun ray shines on the ring. And then Bonnie closes her eyes and she like mumbles for a little while, and then she says it's done. Like, to me that was a super quick spell. And she gives the ring to Caroline, and Caroline again is being bitchy, and she's like, so that's it? I mean, nothing witchy happened, no flickering lights, no gust of wind. Have you even done this before? And Stefan then is like, Caroline, kind of like, stop it. And Caroline is like, what? I just want to make sure it worked. Bonnie then pulls the curtain open and sun shines on Caroline. And Bonnie's like, it worked. And Caroline, what if it hadn't, Bonnie? She's just like going off the rails. And then Bonnie looks at Stefan and she's like, she's all yours. And she takes her book and leaves. And Caroline then is like looking at the ring, she's looking at the window, at the sun, and she's like, And this ring also has a lapis lazuli stone, which is a blue gemstone with like a gold little shiny parts of it. And it's the same stone that Stefan and Damon have in their rings. In the next scene, we are at the Duke University where Elena, Damon, and Rick arrived, and they meet Isabel's assistant, Vanessa Monroe, and she takes them to Isabel's office. Alaric tells her to Vanessa, these are my friends, Elena and Damon, and Vanessa tells them that Isabel was her first professor and she's a grad student now. And then she says that Isabel was brilliant and she was one of the reasons why she went into folklore. And then she asks if there are any news about Isabel, and Alaric says that I'm afraid not. Then Vanessa opens the door to Isabel's office and they walk inside, and she says she just has to grab something and she'll be back. In a little bit, Damon's like, where did she go? Meaning like the Vanessa lady. But she's already back with a crossbow, like a freaking Legolas. And she shoots an arrow at Elena, but Damon jumps in front of Elena and he gets the arrow in his back. And then Rick jumps over to Vanessa and he kind of grabs the crossbow from her. Later we see Elena trying to remove the arrow from Damon's back, and he's like, come on Elena, I can't reach it, just pull it out. So she pulls it out, and Damon then says, that bitch is dead, meaning Vanessa. Elena then fights with him that he's not gonna kill her, and she says, if you touch her, I'll never speak to you again. And Damon kind of laughs in her face, and he's like, what makes you think that has any power over me? Because I took an arrow in the back for you? You're severely overestimating yourself. And Elena says, right, I forgot that I was speaking to a psychotic mind who snaps and kills people impulsively. Fine, go ahead, do whatever you want. And then Damon says, you manipulate me. Elena, if by manipulate you mean tell the truth, then yeah, I am. Then Rick is with Vanessa, and Vanessa tells him, I freaked out, okay? You would have done the same thing. It's not possible. Catherine Pierce can't be alive and Damon Salvatore died in 1864, okay? I read Isabel's research. And then Rick says, well, then you should know it's possible. Elena then introduces herself and says, I am Elena Gilbert, Isabel's daughter, and the descendant of Catherine Pierce. And this is Damon Salvatore, who you just shot. Damon tells her, I'd be extra nice to me right now. And then Elena tells Vanessa, we just need your help, okay? We need to see all of Isabel's research, anything related to Mystic Falls. And in this scene, I don't like the line that Vanessa says, Catherine Pierce can be alive and Damon Salvatore died in 1864, because to me, like, that is the same thing. Like, can be alive and died. I mean, she could have said, like, Catherine Pierce and Damon Salvatore are dead or something. So, I don't know. I really didn't like this one. Then there is this cute scene with Caroline and Stefan, and the two of them in the woods hunting. Caroline is asking Stefan, so what do I do when I see the rabbit? Chase it, catch it, feed on it. Isn't killing cute, defenseless animals the first step in becoming a serial killer? Well, you sort of skipped the serial killer and went straight to vampire. Caroline, if you're not serious about all of this, I think you should tell me. No, No, I am. Look, I swear that I'm okay. But it's just, I haven't been in the sun for days, and everyone is at the swimming hole having fun, and Matt is there, and he finally told me that he loved me, but I have been blowing him off, and now you want me to eat bunnies, and I'm kind of freaking out, okay? Stefan starts laughing, and she says, and now you're laughing at me. No, no, I'm not laughing. None of this is funny, trust me. It's just that, what? When someone becomes a vampire, all of their natural behaviors get sort of amplified. What do you mean? I mean, as a human, I care deeply for people, how they felt, if they were hurting, I felt their pain, and I felt guilty if I was the one who caused it. And as a vampire, all of that got magnified. So, you're saying that now I'm basically an insecure, neurotic control freak on crack. Well, I wasn't gonna say it like that, but hey, listen, let's hunt, okay? And then after that, we'll go to the swimming hole. Caroline gets like really happy and excited, and she's like, really? Yeah. Matt is the closest connection that you have to your humanity, and I think that being around him is a good thing. So then they go hunt, and Caroline is mouthing to herself, bunnies. And it's just the cutest thing. And I just love this scene. And I love the friendship between Caroline and Stefan. It's the best. Then we are at Duke University, where Vanessa and Elena are looking into one box, and um, then Elena finds vervain in there, and she gives some to Vanessa. And Vanessa's like, does vervain really work? And Damon, who is in another room, replies, nope, not at all. Vanessa, can he hear us? And Damon, no, that would be creepy. And then Vanessa says, can he read minds too? You know, if you want to see me naked, all you have to do is ask. Elena says, no, that he can't do. He is very capable of being a first-rate jackass. And then Vanessa puts the vervain in her pocket, and Damon smiles. In the next scene, we're in the woods, and we see Tyler and Matt. Tyler is asking Matt where is Caroline, and Matt says he has no idea. Then Mason drives in with his huge truck, and Tyler goes to him and asks him if he's busting them or joining them. Mason says that he wants them to get out before the sun goes down, and Tyler's like, yeah, and what happens after sundown? And Mason said that somebody gets wasted and ends up dead at the bottom of the lake. And then Tyler like promises him that they'll be out of there, and Mason starts to drive away. As he's driving away, he looks at Stefan, and Stefan looks at Mason, and then Mason nods at him just a little bit. Caroline and Stefan are standing at their car, or at Caroline's car, and Caroline is grabbing her stuff from the trunk, and then she says to Stefan, why are you looking at him with your serious vampire look? My what? My serious vampire look? Mm-hmm. I mean, it's different from your worried vampire look, neither of which stray too far from, hey, it's Tuesday look. And Stefan says, I get it, okay? You think I'm too serious, is that it? I mean, I wasn't gonna say it like that, but... Which is a burn because he just told her the same sentence, so I love that. And let's look at Caroline's makeup in this scene. Be very careful. I mean, not be careful, but carefully look at her makeup. That is very, very strong. She has like very dark eyes, and everything is just a lot. It's a lot of makeup. But in the next scene, the makeup will be gone. So let's look at this transition. In the next scene, Matt is talking to Amy. She's asking him why he's not gonna go swim, and he's like, oh, I have the cast, I'm not waterproof, blah blah blah. Caroline comes in and she's super jealous, and she doesn't have the big makeup on, so that is a mistake to me, because if there was some like time between that, like if Caroline would go home like in between the hunting and the party, then I would understand maybe she changed her makeup, but it was literally like 2 minutes apart when she was at the car with Stefan with the heavy makeup, and then she appeared at Matt's talking to Matt, and she had like very, very light makeup like she used to have before. So Caroline is jealous and she compels Amy to go away and to go find someone single. Matt is mad because he's like, seriously, and like tells her like, oh, you didn't have to be rude. And then Matt says, you've been torturing my calls all day and now you get to show up here and be the jealous girlfriend. It's kind of lame here. And Matt then walks away, and Stefan goes to Caroline and tells her that nobody deserves to like be like have their mind to be messed with for like shallow reasons. And then Caroline gets mad, like, why is everybody sticking up for Amy? And Stefan tells her, you're letting the jealousy get the best of you. And Caroline is just not doing great. She's just pouty and moody and everything. So Stefan tells her, I told you it wasn't gonna be easy. And Caroline says, yeah, well, I might as well have stayed dead. My entire personality is killing me. And then Stefan starts to laugh at her again. And she says, shut up. Which is super cute. Then we are back at the Duke University. And Elena, Damon, and Rick are still in Isabel's office looking through stuff. And Elena says she like didn't really find anything that they didn't know before. And Damon says, well, it's a bummer we're not friends anymore because I could tell you what I know. And Vanessa then gives them a book with some like drawings in it, and she tells them about a legend, the curse of the sun and the moon. And she tells them it's an Aztec legend, and it explains the origin of one of the werewolf curse traced through Virginia. The short story: 600 years ago, the Aztecs were plagued by werewolves and vampires. They terrorized the countryside, made farming and hunting impossible, until an Aztec shaman cursed them, making vampires slaves to the sun and werewolves servants of the moon. As a result, vampires could only prowl at night, and werewolves could only turn on a full moon. When the full moon crests in the sky, whoever is unlucky enough to fall under the werewolf curse turns into a wolf. And while Vanessa is saying this story, we see Mason, who goes down into the ruins in the cellar, and he pulls like on the restraining chains, and one of them breaks off. Then Damon asks Vanessa, can they control the transformation? Vanessa says a line that I love. If it were a choice, it wouldn't be called a curse. I think that's such a beautiful line because she could have said, no, they can't control it. But she says, if it were a choice, it wouldn't be called a curse. And then we are back at Mason's, who is in the cellar, and he now removes new restraining gear from his back. Vanessa then says werewolves will attack humans, but instinct and centuries of rivalry have hardwired them to hunt their prey of choice, vampires. Damon says, well, if werewolves were hunting vampires, I would know about it. Not if there aren't many werewolves left alive. Hundreds of years ago, vampires hunted them almost to extinction. And Elena asks why would they do that, and Vanessa says to protect themselves. Legend has it that a werewolf bite is fatal to vampires. And then Rick, Elena, and Damon look at each other and they look very concerned. Then we are back in the woods at Taylor's party, and Matt is at his car, and Stefan and Caroline are watching him, and then Stefan kind of tells her to like go talk to him. So Caroline goes to Matt, she apologizes, Matt tells her he doesn't want any more drama, and she promises him there won't be any more drama. And then they kiss and then they leave together. In the meantime, Elena calls Stefan and tells him about all the news, but most of all, she tells him about that the werewolf bite can kill a vampire. And then Stefan looks everywhere, or like looks around to see where Caroline is so he can tell her, but he doesn't see Matt or Caroline. Then he tries to call Caroline, but he finds her phone in like Matt's car. So then we see Mason, who is trying to chain himself down in the basement or in the cellar, but then he hears voices, and it's Tyler and Amy. Tyler shows Amy the ruins and the cellar, and Amy's asking like, what is this place, and is everybody else coming? And Tyler's like, yes. And then Amy asks Tyler if he's single, and he says yes. And of course she's asking him because Caroline compelled her, and she said, go find someone single to stalk. Meanwhile, Mason is running through the woods, and he's like stopping and trying to chain himself to a tree, but then he looks at the moon and starts to scream. Then he runs towards his car and goes inside, and he's still like screaming. Then he closes the door, and then we can see that the car is moving a lot, and then he screams, and then we hear something growling inside of the car. Then we are back at Duke's University, where Elena finds a picture of Catherine, and she's asking Vanessa, hey, have you ever done any research on doppelgangers? Well, the word means a lot of different things to different cultures, but typically a doppelganger is a living, breathing double of oneself. Did Isabel have anything that explained the link between me and Catherine? That's all she had on Catherine, unfortunately, but I can tell you that doppelgangers usually torment the people that they look like, trying to undo their lives. It's not exactly uplifting. And more things we already know, just I want to know why we look alike. Damon jumps in. Head scratcher, isn't it? Do you know something, or are you just being yourself? Well, if I know anything, I'm not gonna tell you, not with that attitude. That's good, Damon. And this is coming from someone who wants to be my friend. But you know what? Friends don't manipulate friends. They help each other. Then we are back in the woods, in the ruins, in the cellar, where Tyler and Amy are making out. And then Amy tells him that she doesn't like it and she wants to stop. Then also she says she doesn't know why she's there with Tyler because she likes Matt. Tyler is kind of like, doesn't understanding. He's like, what? And then Amy just leaves. Then we are in the woods where Stefan is looking for Caroline. Then he hears growling and he sees Mason's car, so he goes to it. Then he also sees like marks on the floor that look like claws, and then something like fast runs around him. And then he sees also the chain next to the car. Then he sees yellow eyeballs in the car, and then a big wolf jumps through the car back window and takes Stefan down. Stefan is immediately back on his feet and he looks totally confused, but the wolf is already gone. At the Duke University, Rick and Vanessa are standing outside. Rick is telling her that, he believes she's not gonna say anything, and Vanessa's like, oh, trust me, I'm not gonna say anything because Damon already said he's gonna kill me in my sleep if I do. And then Vanessa is flirting with Rick a little bit, and she tells him like, oh, you can call me anytime and this and that. But Rick tells her that, you really don't want to get caught up in this. It's gonna take over, and it will, you won't be able to live your life anymore. Vanessa then changes the subject and asks, Isabel's disappearance, is it related to her research? And Rick tells her Isabel became her research. She wanted to become a vampire and she got her wish. And then Alaric says, I was wondering what it'd be like to come back here, and it's okay, really. It feels good to have her in my past. It's time to move behind us. Elena is standing at the car and she's trying to open the lock, but when the door is locked and you don't have the key, so you keep just grabbing the handle and you just can't open it, and it's frustrating. So that's what she's doing. So then Damon comes over and he opens the car and he also opens the door for her, and then he gives her a book. And Elena looks at the book and she's like, Petrova, I saw that on the shelf. Catherine originally came from Europe. Petrova was her real name. Katarina Petrova, to be exact. And Elena asks him how did he know that, and he says, back when I saw it engraved on an old heirloom. Men snoop too. Let me know what you find. I'm curious myself. And then Elena doesn't say anything. She tries to get into the car, and then Damon says, You have every right to hate me. I understand, but you hated me before and we became friends. It would suck if that was gone forever. So is it? Have I lost you forever? And Elena just says, thank you for the book. And just a little note here, Katarina Petrova, the ova in most Slavic countries means that you are a woman. So her father would be named Petrov. And then because she's a girl, it would be Petrova. And her mother would be Petrova, her sister would be Petrova, but if she had a brother, it would be Petrov. And when I was an au pair here in the US, my host family didn't know that, so when my dad came to visit, they called him with my last name with the ova, and it was hilarious because they didn't know that for a guy you just don't put the ova at the end. So in case some of you didn't know, I just wanted to mention that. Then we are back in the woods where Matt and Caroline are kissing, and then Matt hears something, but Caroline kind of doesn't care, and she pushes him against a tree, and he scratches his wrist. Caroline starts bleeding, so Caroline like licks it first, and she starts like, biting into him a little bit. Then her face changes into a vampire, and Matt is screaming, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" And then she bites him in the neck and really like bites into him and drinks from him. But then Stefan appears and she pulls Caroline away and he's screaming like, "Stop it, stop it." Then her face is back to normal. She realizes what she has done, so she's like freaking out. And then they hear something again and Stefan tells her, "Listen, we need to get out of these woods. We need to leave." And then he tells her, "We were gonna run, it's gonna follow us, and we need to lead it away from Matt." So then they run away, and they end up at the ruins actually where Tyler was. So Caroline's asking, "What is it?" And Stefan tells her it's a werewolf. He will try to kill us, and he can. Then Tyler appears and asks them what they are doing. And then we have a werewolf. The werewolf takes down Caroline and then she falls down. The wolf was like on top of her. And Stefan pushes the wolf off of her. And then the wolf like wants to go after Stefan. But Tyler like yells at the wolf, "No." And the werewolf looks at him and leaves. In the next scene, Caroline is compelling Matt about everything that has happened, and she compels him to remember that animal attacked him and bit him in the neck. But that was like weird to me because why wouldn't they just heal Matt? They could have healed him and they could have made him forget everything that happened in the woods. He could like remember last thing like that Caroline came and they kissed and that was it. So that was weird to me why they did that, because of course like the founding families, they look for animal attacks, and so that's like kind of suspicious when they're trying to hide that they're in Mystic Falls. And then Caroline is asking Stefan, "What are we gonna do about Tyler?" And Stefan says that he took care of it, and also that he gave Matt a revenge so that Caroline can compel him or drink from him. And like at first I didn't understand how he can take care of Tyler, but then I googled it, and since Tyler isn't a werewolf yet, like he didn't trigger his curse yet, he can actually be compelled, because it didn't make much sense to me. And then Caroline is going on like, Matt is the one person in the entire world I never wanted to hurt. And Stefan tells her that it's not gonna get any easier, and she just has to like work harder on basically just keeping her urges, on leash. And then she asks him, "I shouldn't be with him, should I? Because if there's any danger, I'll do it again." And Stefan says, "I'm the last person to make that kind of decision for you. If I had followed my own advice, I would have walked away from Elena a long time ago. You ever think that you should have? I know I should have. I just can't." Then Tyler is in the woods. He looks at Mason's car, and Mason arrives naked and muddy. And Tyler asks him, "Was that you?" And Mason nods at him. In the next scene, we are in the grill. Matt is sitting alone at the table, and Amy walks over. Caroline comes and she sees them, and then she marches in like a jealous girlfriend, and she's like, "Seriously, Amy?" She says, "We were just talking." "Oh, is that what you call it?" Matt says, "Are you kidding me?" "No, I'm not, Matt. She's into you, and anyone can see it." Then Amy leaves. She's like, "Sorry," and she leaves. And Matt tells Caroline, "Knock it off. What are you doing?" "This isn't my fault, Matt. She's after you, and I shouldn't have to put up with that." And then Matt is like, I thought no more drama. Caroline's like, well, I lied. And Matt says, forget it. Just forget all of it. And Caroline says, so what? Are you like breaking up with me? Yeah. Yeah, I guess that's what I'm doing. And then Matt walks away, and Caroline sits down at the desk and she starts crying, and she looks super sad. And we know that she only did it to like let Matt go, like she did it on purpose because she doesn't want to hurt him again. Like she realized that she shouldn't really be around him because, if she loses control again, she could like kill him or just, she just doesn't want to take that chance anymore. Then we are at Elena's house. Jenna is sitting in the kitchen and Rick is coming in. He grabs her and he kisses her. And before he kisses her, he says, I should have done it this morning. And then Jenna looks super happy. Elena and Damon are outside, like in the porch talking, and Damon says, road trips work well for us. And it's actually a hint or reference to the road trip they did to Breeze Bar in last season. And Elena says, this doesn't mean that things are back to the way they used to be, Damon. Oh, come on, you know I chipped a little bit of your wall of hatred. I need to know the truth. When you broke Jeremy's neck, did you know that he was wearing the ring? No, I didn't. Catherine really pissed me off, and I snapped, and I got lucky with the ring. I don't know what I would have done if he wasn't wearing it, Elena. I'm sorry. Thank you for being honest with me, and the answer to your question about our friendship is yes. You have lost me forever. But you knew that already, didn't you? You used me today. You had information about Catherine that I needed. I thought friends don't manipulate friends. You and Catherine have a lot more in common than just your looks. Then he looks at her and leaves. And then we are at Caroline's house. It's the next day, it's the morning, and Caroline is waking up, and Catherine is there. Caroline first says, Elena, and Catherine's like, nope, try again. And then she's like, Catherine. Then Catherine sits on the edge of her bed and says, don't be frightened. We're going to have so much fun together. And she smiles, and I love how it's so amazing how you can tell in Nina's eyes that right now it's Catherine, it is not Elena. Like, how can someone change so much of the expression in just their eyes? Because when it's Catherine, her eyes, it's like there are little sparks in it. Like, there is mischief in it. There is, like, you never know what's coming next. Like, she's sneaky, but like in like a sexy way. Like, I don't know how to describe it, but it's amazing that you can tell that this is Catherine. And just a couple notes about today's episode, because this is the end actually. This was the last scene of today's episode. And Damon was very good at lying Elena when they were driving to Duke, and she was asking him if he saw that Jeremy has the ring. He says he did see that, but then at the end he says no. So like, he didn't really have to lie if he was gonna confess anyway. Then he should have just stuck his ground and just, just like never admitted. But I guess they were trying to show us that Damon like wants to be truthful and wants to, like, not do good, but he could have lied, at the end, but he wanted to tell her the truth. But I mean, I don't think it really helped him. Another thing that surprised me was that Vanessa wasn't really surprised that Isabel became a vampire, which I don't know if she like expected it after she saw Damon or like why, but there was like no like wow effect. She was just like, oh, all right. And then I talked about Tyler already, and he was compellable. Also, we have the big thing in this episode, of course, is that we have new supernatural element, which is the werewolves, and Mason and Tyler are werewolves, or at least Mason is, and Tyler might be one day, right? And then I'm really excited about the upcoming episodes. I think it might be episode number 5 or 6 when Elena is talking to Catherine about Catherine's past. It's one of my very favorites episode, and I'm so excited to talk about that one. Even the next one is good. I already started working on preparing next episode, and we're gonna have some flashbacks in the next episode, so I'm really excited about that. I have super itchy nose. I'm sorry if you can hear that, but like I don't know what's happening. I think I'm getting some allergies or something, so I keep itching my nose here. And and I've never had an itchy nose before, like on the outside. It's weird. Anyways, thank you so much for listening. I'm so happy that you're still with me. I hope that you can understand my broken English. And if you have any concerns, comments, or anything, you can, as always, comment under today's episode on Spotify or YouTube or Apple Podcast. Or you can also write me a message on my vampire Instagram, which is TVD forever / I was feeling epic. And I hope that you will have a great day today, that something good happens to you. Your coffee tastes great and there's sunshine out there, and you run into a long lost friend, and it's gonna be epic. I just hope something really good happens to you today, because I feel like we all need that in today's crazy world. And thank you so much for bearing with me, for listening, for being here, and for loving the Vampire Diaries. And we will see each other or hear each other in the next episode. Have a great day. Bye.